first. An example of that is transaction banking, a new business that we launched for the treasurers of the world, and providing the corporates first-class treasury services operations with a digital-led interface first. The same is the case with our new consumer bank, Marcus, where we don't have any branch offices, we don't have any ATMs, yet we now have over $100 billion of deposits from clients across UK and US, because it's a digital-led consumer business first. A significant portion of the product managers, a significant portion of the risk managers, the engineers, the people who are defining the business are anchored out of our offices both in Bangalore and in Hyderabad. But to your point about what is it that we contribute to India, and in many ways the framing of the opportunity statement for our country in the macro of what the world is pivoting to in the next decade or so. I took the liberty of putting a few slides to share with my fellow colleagues on what is the framing of that opportunity across the different sectors. So Casey, if you don't mind just putting it up on the screen there. If you go to the next slide.
Go to the next slide.
All right. Because so much of the work that we collectively do, and Nasscom, led by Devjani and our colleagues in KSV and others, is so much around digital and around internet, I think it's important for us to understand what is the growth that has happened in the context of internet-led economy, the adoption of internet, the consumption as well as the production of data that is coming in. And the reason why I want to say so is because that is a generational opportunity for our country. But how we keep our people, our companies, our business processes, and our mother companies secured in this widely distributed infrastructure and internet is going to be critical for the future success. So today we have about 2.7 billion people in Asia that are online, and we make up about 53% of the global internet population. In India, we have about 650 million people. That will grow to about 900 million people by 2025. And while we are generating about 79 trillion GB of data, it's only going to have a nonlinear parabolic curve as we go across in creating data in the next few years. If you move to the next slide, I think that next slide, just indulge with me. On the left-hand side is the positioning of the biggest economies in the world tied to their GDP. So India today is about $3.6 trillion GDP, and we are pegged to go to about 6.8, 6.9 trillion GDP in 2031. This is based on Goldman's internal research. We will, at that time, become the third largest economy in the world and becoming a greater than $10 trillion economy by 2036. A significant portion on the contribution of that economy is going to come from businesses that will be disrupted via technology, not alone via big techs or not alone via deep tech companies, but every sector that we can put our hands around that has the opportunity to disrupt and to provide services and products to a country with a large demographic like ours. On the right-hand side is the growth of the GDP of our country. And in spite of the economic headwinds that the developed markets are going through, if you look at the line in yellow, that line in yellow is the growth of India's GDP over the course of the next few years. And we will continue to be the fastest growing economy across not just the emerging markets, but across the world. And that yellow line is in many ways the projection of the growth of India's GDP. If you go to the next slide, this is an important one, because that is in many ways the framing for all of us, which is what are some of the most important macro emerging trends that are transforming the world, in which we operate in, working for our parent organizations, working for our colleagues across the world, for our clients, but also to what Devjani mentioned, the imperatives that are so critical for our own country, for our own people, and the contributions that our work here will contribute to these macro trends, be it the adoption of blockchain and becoming about 225 228 billion dollar economy by 2028, or IoT. We will have 3 times more IoT devices in the next few years versus where we are right now. The same applies to quantum computing, and the growth in quantum computing, which is projected to grow 43% on a CAGR basis, compounded annual growth rate. And while there is only a mention of NLP, but you can extrapolate it in the context of AI, ML applications in a range of different economies and a range of different sectors. Just NLP is sized up to $43 billion in 2025. Now, pack that against the contribution that we GCCs are collectively making, which is 1% of India's GDP, about 35 billion-ish on an annualized basis. So the opportunity to lift the lid, the opportunity to lift the awareness of what we can collectively contribute to the economy, not just for the organizations that we work for, but in our collective contribution to our country with the talent that we have and with the awareness and the context in which we are operating in, is massive. And if I may just close with one last slide, and that is, I think, a statement. If you just move to the next slide, KSV. This is in some ways our North Star. And a North Star is less to be measured in billions. It is in hundreds of trillions, tens of trillions of dollars of opportunity in the next couple of decades that will shape the world, that will see an infusion in the capital market activities to the most important imperatives, certainly of our generation and next. Be it ESG, which will see an infusion of about $100 to $150 trillion coming in the next 3 decades, or Web 3.0, which will see an economy exploding to about $8 trillion in the next decade, and the contributions that we continue to have an opportunity to make in fintech, in edtech, in health tech, in deep tech. The list just goes on. And therefore, what we do in working with the universities, what is it that we do in grooming our people with that boldness, with that awareness, is in many ways going to be the unlocking factor for many of us. And in perhaps to conclude it, that's the bold vision that is in many ways needed in the seats that we are in to unlock that opportunity. I know I took a long answer to the question that you asked, Devjani, but the framing was essential to lift the lid on that thinking.
Devjani, if I actually may add something to that last slide, and especially for our audience, that slide's coming from Goldman. I'm sitting here in an auto company because exactly those keywords are moving the auto industry as well, right? ESG is moving the auto industry. Health is moving the auto industry. Deep tech is moving the auto industry. And for all you know in the audience, if you have people from any other space as well, they'll be probably toying with the same keyword. So there's actually a melting pot of technologies that India is providing, I think, which is another part of answer, if I may extend what Gunjan just mentioned.
No, absolutely, and I think the lines are blurring between, the auto industry and the health industry and the entertainment industry, and very soon we have to figure out new terminologies, frankly, because I think the silos are not going to work anymore, given that we are pretty much creating solutions that provides end-to-end convenience and benefits to the user. Nobody wants to be left out. So, it's a fantastic journey, and both of you, thank you for sharing your perspectives. KSV, I hope that answers your question in terms of what is the opportunity that we see in terms of both contributing to the charter of the mothership companies and also contributing to the India development story. Back to you, KSV.
Yeah, that is interesting. What we are now saying, Devjani,
KSV, we can't hear you.
I'm saying we talked about the grand opportunity that is available outside. It will also be good to understand from each one of you, what are some of the...
we can't hear you, KSV. Get a check done, please. Because I know you're going to be asking us questions, and it's going to be a problem if we can't hear.
Okay, we are able to hear you. Perhaps you continue the conversation while we stitch the back end up here. Okay. In the meantime, any question audience has got the other thing. Essentially, what they're saying is there's a huge opportunity be unearthed, whether in terms of future technology that is coming in, future opportunity in terms of ESG and other aspects that's coming in. It also requires, we need to scale, I wouldn't say scale down, let go perhaps our behavior, our attitude, anything that's required to garner the larger opportunities available outside. That's the message we're hearing outside. Let's see if the sound system gets up to try it out.
Because I know that KTR is already there, so I just want to make sure we wrap up our conversation in time. So I'll carry forward the discussion with Manu and Gunjan, and I hope you can hear us. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear us.
Yeah, Debjani, are you able to hear us now? Debjani, Gunjan. We are attempting the hybrid model for the first time, so give us some time to get it perfected. Okay. Debjani, the second question to ask is, for us to achieve that bigness of thing, what the leaders have put across, what are some of the adjustments, perhaps not incremental, exponential changes that is required at the GCC's end to achieve that goal that we have had? That will be the second theme for you to explore.
Yep, thanks, Keshri. And in the interest of time, I'm just going to carry the conversation forward with Gunjan and Manu so that we don't get into this technical difficulties again, and then hand it back to you for the conclusion. What is it that needs to change, I guess? You know, Manu and Gunjan, the more I think about it, the answer is just one thing in my mind, which is the leadership mindset of this sector. Honestly, while we have seen tremendous evolution in the leadership mindset, but I still don't think we project ourselves in a way that is needed. If our CEOs are saying that this is not just the future of the company, but this is where our future leaders, global leaders, are going to come from, I'm not sure that we today as a community are giving that confidence and projecting that back. And I think that is the one thing that needs to change, but would love to hear more from you guys and what do you think. Start with you, Manu.
No, can't agree more on that leadership topic. Actually, we've been referring to that quite a lot, and we've been noticing, you know, how leadership can make a difference. We call this topic as GCC narrative. I think the keyword narrative holds a lot of I mean, at the end, life's a story, business is story. And I think leaders have the task at GCCs to look for a North Star, kind of derive the purpose statement for their local enterprise, place that North Star firmly in the global agenda, and then simply try and follow it up, right? During the first part of my response, I said I do meet a lot of people who sadly want to leave the country, right? They've set up a GCC, it's not working. They come down to us, we have a big chat, and I literally give them, you know, if you want to call it our magic formula, right? They come in from the same sector, sometimes from other sectors. Honestly, India has the same thing to offer to all of us. To Gunjan, to me, it's talent, it's the cost advantage, it's this young population, it's the passion, it's the deep technology, all of that. How you put together that story under your roof, for your counterpart, for your headquarters, in your work culture, you know, that is making the difference right now to an American company, to a British company, to a German company in this case, or a French story, whatever else that we want to see. And I think that is something that we want, I certainly want as part of Nasscom ER&D, our leaders to actually go back and analyze a little bit. What is their story? What's their North Star? How are they placing it firmly in headquarters? And how are they putting together the equation in India towards that purpose? I think this is going to make a huge difference. This is what we work on constantly, right? I'll keep it short. I'll hand it over to Gunjan because of time.
Yeah, thanks, Manu. I think you both captured the essence of lifting the lid for the organization through the expression that the leader provides and the boldness of that vision And Devjani, you mentioned that KTR is there. I want to give an example, highlighting one of the things that we did during the pandemic with a lot of support coming from KTR, Jayesh, and their team. We were while in lockdown in the country, we had the vision and the boldness that we are going to open up a new office in Hyderabad and expand the remit of what our collective talent can provide to the firm in a global scale, because it wasn't about what is happening in 2020 or 2021. It was much more about a generational investment that we are making in the talent of the country. And the support we got from the industry bodies, the support we got from the government, that is also very unique here, which is we have harmonic ambitions. We are bound by common purpose, and therefore the ability to create that multiplicative quotient is very high. Now, when we were establishing Hyderabad office, of course, it is an extension to the work that we have been doing in the country for the last many years. But we wanted to give it a distinct identity. And in the distinct identity, we said it will be the center of excellence for consumer banking, the biggest and the most important new business of Goldman Sachs that we are launching in the world. And because there is so much that is happening in blockchain and DeFi, the global center of excellence for blockchain and decentralized finance for Goldman Sachs is based out of Hyderabad. And that in many ways is the identity that we have wrapped around our offices there. And one can say, well, it's about the identity, but it is so much about the identity. It is what gives people an equitable environment to work in on an every single day, but also allows for recognition and for reward, where location is not a binding constraint on the aspirations of people.
No, brilliantly said, both of you. And I think the message is, let's not get complacent with what we have achieved. Yes, the GCC story is tremendously successful. It has shaped up beautifully, but there is just so much more to be done. I honestly believe we've touched barely the tip of the iceberg, and I guess if this conversation makes anyone in the audience a little uncomfortable in terms of thinking through what am I doing today, then I think the three of us have achieved the job, and it's 30 minutes well spent. And Gunjan, you talked about Hyderabad, and I have to say that no one demonstrates that power of thinking big ambition, big goal, and then going and making it happen, then, than the way Telangana does it. And I guess that's why it's sort of become a magnet for the industry today. And KTR Garu, all I'll say is maybe one of these days you need to take a one-on-one workshop for the industry and for the leadership team to say, this is how you project global leadership to the world. But fantastic talking to both of you. And once again, to the audience, we strongly believe that the best for the GCC community is ahead of us. It's not what we have done. It's not where we are today. What we have done and where we are today is all good. But there is just so much more to do. And status quo is not going to cut it. We have to rethink our strategies. We have to rethink the role that we play, both for the headquarters as well as for India. And we have to be very confident about the value that we are creating for both. We cannot undermine that. We cannot undersell that, because when you are creating value, you have to be loud and proud about it. The world is looking at India as not just an excellent hub for talent and innovation, but the world is looking at India as an excellent hub for future global leaders that will shape the charter of the technology industry. And I think we just have to own it. We have to own it, and we have to deliver on it. So thank you, Gunjan. Thank you, Manu, for this conversation. I hope it gives you some food for thought. And with that, back to you, KSV.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, audience. As I know, I would have loved to continue more. We have an equally honorable speaker ahead with us now. Shri KTR. So KTR sir, would you like to come to stage? Would you like to say any final words to Debjani, Gunjan and Manu Salia and start your session 2? Come in, sir. Lots of words.
I was just telling KSV that I don't have a few words, I have a lot of words. So I think I have a fully loaded speech that I wanted to deliver. Thank you, KSV Garu. Thank you, Debjani. Thank you to the entire team of Nasscom. Thank you, Gunjan, for those kind words. Thank you, Manu. Thanks also to my Principal Secretary, Jayesh Ranjan Garu, and our Honorable MP from Chevilla, Sri Ranjit Reddy Garu. To all the delegates who are participating in this event of Nasscom's GCC Conclave, I welcome you all to Hyderabad. I hope you have a great day of deliberations and a great day of discussions. In the Indian landscape, I think there's more than 1,500 GCCs already, with more than 2,500 plus established centers across multiple metros in India. Out of these 1,500 GCCs, 150 plus have set up operations in 2020 and 2021 during the pandemic, in fact the last 2 years. So nearly about 10% have actually come up in the last 2 years, and that goes to show you that while pandemic was raging, so was the growth of GCCs in India. 65% of the GCCs that are set up in India are headquartered in the Americas, specifically the US, followed by UK and European Union. The key levers of growth for the GCC market are, of course, availability of talent, I think, which is what India has in abundance, in the digital and emerging space, the innovation ecosystem, infrastructure and livability, which is, of course, something that every government in India is constantly working on, and most importantly, I think, able and stable governance, which does matter at the end of the day. The Telangana government, the local state government here, has established centers of excellence in coordination with various industry players, academic institutions and research organizations for creating the necessary talent pool. Hyderabad is home to T-Hub, which is the world's largest incubator and innovation engine. We have several innovation engines also along with T-Hub, called as the V-Hub, which focuses on women entrepreneurship, T-Works, which will be unveiled in August, which will be India's largest prototyping facility, Makers Lab, TSIC, the Telangana State Innovation Cell, Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad, which again is an institution that is set to bring about coordination between the academia and the industry and ensure that go-to-market research happens in our country. We also have established a Cyber Security Center of Excellence in partnership with the Data Security Council of India, which is an outfit of Nasscom, and METI, which is also an outfit of Government of India. We have a special wing in Telangana under our IT department called the Emerging Technologies Wing, which focuses on developing an ecosystem around the various technologies, including AI, ML, blockchain, cloud computing, data sciences, robotics, drone, additive manufacturing, by enabling adoption of these technologies across various departments, both public and private partnership, in a public and private partnership, so that we can create not only employment opportunities, but also ensure that the most talented resources are given the right kind of opportunity. Another very important enabler, which the government of Telangana has created, a few years ago, is called as the TASK. Now, TASK stands for Telangana Academy for Skill and Knowledge, for training and creating the necessary manpower for various engineering and traditional degree colleges across the state. Some of the most prominent GCCs in Hyderabad, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, HSBC, Franklin Templeton, Broadridge, ADP, JP Morgan, Novartis, Deloitte, the list goes on, it's quite a long list. Some of the most prominent GCCs who've set up office during the last 5 to 7 years in Telangana includes DBS Bank, Pepsi, Chubb Insurance, Mass Mutual, Goldman Sachs, Swiss Re, Advanced Auto Parts, RCCM, Gap, ZF, State Street, Intel, ICE, F5 Networks, Micron, and Callaway Golf, and the list goes on also. It's an impressive list. In fact, I have to share one thing with you quickly. If you look at the top 5 most valued tech companies of the world, all 5 of them, without an exception, have their largest campus outside of their headquarters. And that marquee list includes Apple, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and Amazon. All 5 of them have their largest campus in Hyderabad, in Telangana. And most importantly, Amazon's largest campus in the world is not in Seattle, it is actually in Hyderabad. Let me also add, Uber, Salesforce, Micron, Qualcomm, all of their second largest centers in the world are also in Hyderabad. Hyderabad's IT growth story is something that's extremely impressive. Last year, in the middle of the pandemic, when the national average IT export growth was about 17%, Hyderabad had clocked a 26% growth. In fact, out of the 450,000 jobs added last year in the IT sector, 150,000, which is 1/3, were in Hyderabad. Top 5, as I was pointing out, apart from the top 5, we have ZF, we also have Novartis, which has a large center in Hyderabad, which is again their second largest campus in the world. Let me quickly also tell you, for those of you who are interested in understanding why Hyderabad for a GCC, on the livability and infrastructure, there is an agency called as Mercer, which rates cities on a livability index across the world. They've rated Hyderabad as a city with the best quality of living among all Indian cities for 5 years in a row now, from 2015 until 2020. Of course, in the middle of the pandemic, they had suspended their ratings, but I do believe that had they done it, we would have still come out trumps. Our infrastructure certainly is better than most other cities in India. I do not wish to slam my competition in India, but I have to point out a few things. You know, I love Delhi, but I think the smog there is a shocker. Chennai, I love Chennai as well, but the humidity there is a bit of a pain. Bangalore, can't say anything, but you know, the traffic there is hugely disappointing. We all know that. Those of us who have traveled to Bangalore, once you get off the airport, you don't know when you're going to reach the office or when you're going to miss your flight. So that's a huge put off. And then, you know, there's Bombay, which of course is prohibitively expensive. And of course, what's happening in politics there, I don't want to talk about it. So the only city that leaves you with a stable government and an able leader and with the best quality of infrastructure is Hyderabad. And more importantly, the government here is focused on building more and more infrastructure. Because if you think about it, the fact is, while what Mahatma Gandhi may have said about 75 years ago is still true, that India lives in its villages, India is actually run by its cities and towns. Because they are the economic engines that drive the growth of this nation. All the statistics that Gunjan was talking about, you know, the 3rd largest economy by 2031 and all that, that GDP and GSDP is actually going to come from our cities and towns, majority of that. The fact is, in the last 75 years, governments really have not paid a lot of attention to urban infrastructure. It is crumbling because we're not able to keep pace with the kind of rapid urbanization and suburbanization that has been happening. But we in Hyderabad have actually focused on improving urban infrastructure. Unlike other cities, we do not have any problems with respect to power or drinking water. We are not one of those cities where you'll have to ferry water, drinking water in railway tankers. We have provisioned and we have planned for drinking water needs till 2051. We have satiated our drinking water requirement and we continue to improve on that. We have ensured also that there are no disruptions with respect to power supply and we provide 24/7 quality power. More importantly, public transportation is also important. We've completed 70 kilometers of Hyderabad Metro and we are looking to expand it even further to make our public transportation even more robust. To alleviate the congestion problems in the city, we've built more than 30 flyovers in the last 5 years as part of our strategic road development program, and we continue to add more and more to that. We are adjudged, like I said, as the most livable city, and more importantly, it's not just infrastructure that's important, more important is the talent. The think force of Hyderabad, the think force of my state is something that I'm truly proud of. About 1/3 of the employees working in any IT company in India, including Bangalore, will have roots from my city, from Hyderabad. That's because of the ecosystem, the educational ecosystem we have here. We have more than 250 plus reputed engineering colleges. We have most certainly one of the best business schools in the country. I think the best business school in the country, Indian School of Business. And most employees, in fact, I keep saying this and I can't say it enough. Hyderabad is that place where the north of India meets the south of India. Hyderabad is that place where biology meets technology. Hyderabad is that place where data sciences marries life sciences. Hyderabad is that place where Mangoverse meets Metaverse. So, all in all, we have the ability to attract the best talent from across the country, irrespective of which part of India you are from. Kolkata, Mumbai, Delhi, Kanpur, Jabalpur, you will feel at home in Hyderabad because this is one city. This does not discriminate based on region, religion, language, etc. We are one of those cities which are truly a melting pot, and we symbolize and we truly live up to that reputation. We also, in fact, as a government, have been playing a key role in ensuring that we provide the right kind of regulatory framework, right kind of policies for the industry. We released the ICT policy of Government of Telangana in 2016, and the new policy that we released in 2021 will provide you the most important framework, the most important kind of incentives for you to come and set up shop in Hyderabad in a very hassle-free kind of an environment. Now, why do I say a hassle-free kind of environment? Because in Telangana, our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri KTR, believes in ensuring that any investor who comes to the state is given a clearance in terms of building approvals, in terms of all other clearances as a matter of right. So what we have come out with is TS-IPASS, the Telangana State Industrial Project Approval Self-Certification System. For instance, you wanted to start a factory or a GCC in Hyderabad, you actually don't need a clearance from the government. You can hit the ground running, you can start construction, you can start your enterprise on day one. Simultaneously, we request that you submit an application online. Once we receive all the information, we promise us all clearances by statute in 15 days. If we do not deliver on the 15-day window, on the 16th day, it's a deemed approval again, backed by statute. No other Indian state will actually tell you this. Telangana not only has good policy framework and a good principle when it comes to ease of doing business, we also have a fantastic innovation ecosystem. In fact, the world's largest innovation incubator, T-Hub, has been unveiled on 28th, a day before yesterday, right here in the city of Hyderabad. We not only have T-Hub, like I pointed out, we have a number of other incubators, we have a number of other innovation curating agencies which work together in bringing out a holistic approach towards innovation. We have strong emerging tech wing, like I said, which covers many, many emerging technologies. And like I also mentioned, we work closely with Nasscom, AmCham, HICC, Hyderabad Software Enterprises Association, and we have taken a sectoral approach in fostering a robust ecosystem. The two good examples that I can give, we have a consortium of about 30 BFSI companies, which have together created a fintech forum for creating domain expertise, risk mitigation, and influencing policy making as well. And we are also coming out with a new entity called as the Telangana Mobility Valley. We're working with all the large OEMs, suppliers, technology companies, and global operators across the globe to create the most comprehensive mobility ecosystem in India. We will reveal more details of this, of course, in days to come, in the next week, in fact, on the 6th of July. Hyderabad also has a very unique Cyberabad Security Council, an arrangement between the police department and the IT industry that ensures elements such as security, women's safety, traffic regulations, and cyber security are taken care of in the IT corridor. We are adjudged the safest metro statistically. There are a number of stories, there are a number of anecdotes that I can share with you, that happen in the GCC world, which make Hyderabad a very attractive destination. Uber started with an initial employee estimate of about 500 people for 503 years. But they have crossed 2,000 in half the time, in 1.5 years, and they're still continuing to expand. ZF, a German multinational company in mobility space, was inaugurated in 2017, about 5 years ago, with a target employee count of 1,000 in 5 years. Today, after 5 years, I was there recently at their campus, launching a new office, and their headcount has already crossed 3,000 and it is still expanding. Similarly, DBS, that set up a GCC in 2016, with a projected headcount of 1,000 in 5 years, has already crossed 3,000, and they've opened even their retail presence here in Hyderabad. Micron, large, memory manufacturer, has set up their engineering and R&D center here in Hyderabad about 5 years ago. Now it has become their second largest campus outside of United States. The one thing I would add, of course, I can name more names, I can tell you more such experiences, but I think the point I would like all of you to urge, all of you to consider, I would urge you to consider, is, you have to see it to believe it. If you go around all the cities in India and then come to Hyderabad, I think you will understand that whatever I've just mentioned is actually an accurate depiction. We not only work, we not only look at you as potential investors, but we look at you as partners. In terms of, the reason why I say we look at you as partners is, if you need any policy advocacy that we have to take up, say with Government of India, in areas that are kind of vague, in areas where the clarity of policy is still not there, we will be happy to work with you, to walk with you, to ensure that more and more support that you require is given also from the government's side. For those of you who are already in Hyderabad, I request you to consider, growing further. For those of you who are not here, we would love to be a part of the growth story. And I will be remiss if I do not add that our biryani is something that people kill for and die for. And our social infra is equally good, comparable to the best in the country and possibly one of the best in the world as well. Our airport consistently gets rated among the top airports in the world. And I have to tell you this, and we focus on governance. We are a government that believes that economics should take center stage. Politics should only happen around election time, 6 months. Baki 4.5 saal, economic opportunities pe, employment pe ध्यान देने वाली सरकार, employment opportunities पे गौर करने वाली सरकार, employment opportunities पे focus करने वाली government हिंदुस्तान को चाहिए और तेलंगाना ऐसी government है. So I welcome you all to Hyderabad and I look forward to working closely with many of you if you need a one-on-one conversation. My Principal Secretary is also here. So thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Telangana.
Sir, I'd like to request you to please stay back on stage. I'd like to request KSV from Nasscom to present a small token of our appreciation to you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a big round of applause once again. Shri K.T. Ramarao, Minister for Municipal Administration and Urban Development, Industries and Commerce and Information Technology of Telangana. On behalf of Nasscom, once again, we'd like to thank you, sir, for having taken time out from your busy schedule and gracing this occasion.